All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
Welcome to Colts Law. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, Colts Loyalist. And late last night, the Indianapolis Colts traveled to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. And a lot came out of it. The Indianapolis Colts came out on top by a score of 12-10 in a game where no offensive touchdowns were scored by either team, right? The only score was a defensive interception returned for a touchdown, a pick six by the Vikings off a Sam Ehlinger pass. Really quick hits, really fast, Loyalist. Give me your overall quick 2-minute breakdown of what happened yesterday.
Okay, 2-minute breakdown. Quarterbacks went out and did what unfortunately we expect to see out of rookies. They had a bad day. The consistency we've discussed is going to be a problem. Today was on the lower spectrum of things. Wide receivers, when they were given opportunities, didn't seem to be making plays for the quarterbacks, which didn't help a whole lot. Ehlinger started the game. He had a rough start. The 2 interceptions he had were off of deflections, and the defense was lights out. The defense was not getting a lot of sacks, but they were getting constant pressure, no matter who the offensive line and quarterback was. And the special teams was phenomenal. The kickers were perfect again today, not helping Ballard out in that decision process. And then Jacob Eason finally came back towards the latter half of the game and started finding a rhythm, started finding a little more of his receivers, and had a good day. And I said, had a good second half. And as far as the receivers go, the only one that stood out to me was Des Patman. I felt like I take it back. Des Patman and Zach Pascal both seemed to have consistent, steady performances yesterday, which is what helped the Colts get the win, I think, when it was all said and done.
My 2-minute breakdown of what happened, basically, you covered a lot of it. Neither quarterback really stepped up and did a great job. Kind of left a little bit of wanting out there. There were some pluses and minuses to both quarterbacks. The running game looked okay, not spectacular. I thought the offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts looked much better this game than what it did. Well, at least in pass protection, right? 0 sacks given up by the Colts offensive line. There was a couple quarterback hits, one where, Jacob Eason just kind of shrugged a guy off and then took off down the sideline and got rid of the football. But they looked much better. And again, defensively, that defensive line just looks absolutely phenomenal. Even with key players out like Teray, like Darius Leonard, like DeForest Buckner. Those guys did not play, and yet the front seven, I thought, played incredibly, incredibly well. But there were some studs and some duds in this game. We're going to go with each of our studs on defense first and foremost. Tell me your stud on defense.
My stud was Ben Banneker. I went into this after the draft. I went in thinking, man, Banneker, I don't think he's got it. He shut me up. He just has shut me up, and I'm happy to say, he came out and he played every play like he was going to get the quarterback. He didn't get wrapped up a whole lot in the blocks. As far as holding the edge when it was his assignment, he was very disciplined in it this weekend, which is a big knock that I've had on him. He really set the edge well, and he was in that backfield. I know his stats don't show it and everything, but he was creating that chaos that we keep talking about. He may not have been getting to the quarterback, but he was rushing the decision-making process for the quarterback and put a lot of pressure on him to find the solution. And as far as the offensive line, they just did not stop him. I mean, occasionally they'd slow him down, but they never did stop him the entire game.
My stud on defense could have went to two players. One, it was nice to see Kwity Paye get his first sack of his NFL career, even though it was a preseason game. It was his first action, and he came out and he looked pretty good. But that was not my overall stud. I was incredibly impressed with an undrafted free agent in this game on defense. Now, I have a hard time pronouncing this guy's last name, but it's either Chachary or Chakary, something of that nature. He's a free safety, undrafted, and played absolute lights out for an undrafted free agent. I thought he played incredibly well multiple times in very important plays, well, like third down or fourth down, where he would just stream in and make a big tackle or get a great pass deflection. I thought he really put it film out there to make it incredibly tough for Frank Reich and these coaches to make a decision when it comes to cut time, because I mean, they went out and they picked up Sean Davis from Pittsburgh. They've got George Odom. They have that 5th round pick in Davis as well. That Sean Davis from the draft. And then of course your starters out there with Kari Willis and Julian Blackmon already. They're not going to keep 5 safeties. So one of these guys are going to be the odd man out, and right now, I think that undrafted free agent has a real shot at making this 53. Hey guys, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time I go live. Don't forget, you can also share this video to your favorite social media, and please open up that description of the video. In there you find a link to my Patreon, which is only $5 a month. You get all of my content plus Patreon specific content, and of course, my merch shop right here. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Give me your stud on offense.
Okay. Well, I just want to say real quick, because if we're going to put out honorable mentions, I want to throw out a shout out to Rocky Sin too, because I felt like he played exceptionally good defense yesterday also.
Okay.
But as far as my stud on offense, and this was more out of desperation. I just needed to see something at the tackle position. And here again, I went in thinking of the 3 candidates, of Holden or Tevy or Davenport. I put Davenport low on the list. But over the last week of training camp, as we've discussed repeatedly, and last night's game, he did a very solid job. He was, like you said, there wasn't a lot of leakage coming from the left side during the pass protection. We didn't allow any sacks. The quarterbacks weren't given a great deal of time, but they were having enough to where they could make decisions and stuff with a clean enough pocket. Do I think that he's the guy that I want to have as my, full year starter? No, that's not what I'm saying. But as far as the performance that he did and for the position that we're looking as a backup spot, an early starter until Fisher gets out there, I have been remarkably surprised with what the production we've seen from Davenport. Because quite honestly, like I said, going back and watching him through his career, I just didn't see a whole lot of. Honestly, whenever we picked him up, I was like, why? And now I'm glad we did, because he has clearly been the brighter of the 3 stars, as far as that tackle position.
My stud on offense might be a bit of a surprise. Des Patman had a heck of a game yesterday. He led all receivers in receptions and yards for the Indianapolis Colts. Targeted 5 times, 4 catches, 60 yards. Great day for Des Patman. Number 10 for the Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, really putting his film, as I said, out there. And it's not just on offense. He showed he can play special teams as well as a gunner. on a punt where in which, Sanchez dropped the ball right at the 5-yard line, and Patman had the awareness to follow the punt, get up underneath of it, and down it as the ball came down. So for him to have special teams awareness and play ability as well, I think that could come in huge for Patman when it comes to picking out the wide receivers, because, most likely there's only going to be six picked. So, having that special teams ability and flashing during a preseason, he definitely had done himself huge favors in this game against Minnesota. Let's go to duds. Your dud on defense.
Okay. My dud on defense. It's hard. It really is hard because the defense just looked really good. Like I said, Isaac Rochelle was in there a lot. Man, I don't know. I come back to me on that one. Like I said, defensive dud. I would.
How about going to another off? Okay, let's go ahead and go offensive duds. If you can't go ahead and give me an offensive dud, and then give me a backup offensive dud for you.
Okay. Well, that would have to be the quarterback position. For me, I was hoping to see more from Sam. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to supplant, in my mind at least, Eason and what he was doing. But today it just seemed like he was telegraphing his passes, or yesterday, sorry. Seemed like he was telegraphing his passes. His accuracy was suspect, and we didn't see a lot of the rushing. Now I was impressed that he did stay in the pocket. He wasn't leaving too early. The one time we did see him leave, it was perfect timing. It was, cut bait or get out. But yeah, as far as the quarterback play, just in general, that was sort of a dud. And then my secondary would be, like I said, basically all of the receivers that weren't Zach Pascal and Des Patman. I mean, these guys last week they performed so admirably, and this week they just did not seem to be getting the separation. Whenever they had the opportunity to make the catches, I just felt like they weren't doing the quarterbacks any favors as far as, great squeezing onto the pigskin and holding on to it. So, yeah, I mean, the offense as a whole was my most disappointing side of the game.
My number one disappointment, obviously, I agree with you. I think Sam Mellinger was a massive dud in this game. With those 2 interceptions. He did not have a air attempt over 10 yards, right? That's not good. When you play almost an entire half and didn't throw the ball, his average air yards per attempt was 4.5. All right, that's not a good sign. But my biggest dud for the day, it was Kylan Granson, the rookie tight end. He was targeted 4 times, came up with 0 receptions. Now, 2 of those passes would have been incredibly difficult or near impossible due to them being overthrows. But 2 of those balls hit him. He got his hands on them, and he should have caught them, and he wasn't able to. So he had 4 targets, no catches. That is not a good sign for a guy who also had drops in week 1, and we've seen drops throughout training camp as well for Granson. He's going to really have to kind of get down. For a guy who said, you know what, I only had 1 game in college that was not good and had some drops. He's had a lot of drops so far this training camp and preseason, and it's not looking good on his end. But I do have a defensive dud as well. And to be fair, it's not all his fault because there was a lot of moving around, right? In that area. But there was a couple times when Chesley was beat.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it was not a good situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that I agree there, but like I said, I don't know that we really expected him to, so for me, it was more of just, okay, he didn't quite live up to expect. One I was wondering what your thoughts were on was Bobby Okereke, because today was really the first day, especially with Darius being out. How do you think he did against the run? Because to me, it seemed like there was a few times where he was getting muscled around. And I guess I just wanted your opinion on Bobby.
That's an issue. I didn't get a really good look. There was a couple times where I seen that he got kind of caught up in the wash a little bit, but I did see one play where Bobby Okereke did good, kind of filtering through the wash and making a tackle. But I need to get back and look at the film on that to make a better judgment. I kind of feel like the coach right now, like I need to go look at the film because I didn't go over it multiple times. Being that the game didn't get over till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, I was a bit tired and went to sleep.
Yeah.
But so those are our studs and duds and a quick breakdown of yesterday's game. Don't forget, please, make sure you like this. Make sure you give it a share. And if you're watching this on Newsbreak, please go check out my YouTube on the link right over here. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please check out the link below in the description to go check out Newsbreak. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen, and that's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.